Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the hopeful elect. Yeah, in this lesson, I'll just have two articles, one off of another website and one off of the one I usually use, which is End Time Headlines. And just going to be pretty much going into AI, as we're seeing that AI, is being used or brought out more and more as something that they want to move forward with. Sometimes AI would be called automation, right? So pretty much we're seeing a very heavy push for AI and things like that, right? Which if you watch movies like iRobot and all these type of things, there's a saying called art imitates life, right? So it's very funny how these things that we once saw in movies and thought that, oh, that would be cool. Even the Jetsons, right? The futuristic stuff and a robot helping you out. If you watch that movie, I, Robot, I believe it came out in 2004 with Will Smith. Um, eventually AI was in people's cribs, cooking for them, taking care of the house, cleaning the house. AI pretty much acting as a servant. These were things that we saw in movies that, people, the everyday average individual would sit there and say, that was cool or, that was a movie. But now these are things that are actually being talked about in life as being an actual thing. What was once in a movie as something fictional is now being talked about in real life as not something fictional. That this is a possibility of something actually happening, where AI is going to do the jobs that you do, where AI is going to be in your house, a robot is going to be in your house now, and it's going to be cooking, cleaning, doing the things that you did, which this is eventually going to lead to pretty much a lack of work, right? If I'm not mistaken, I believe sometime last year, I don't remember the entire story fully, so I apologize. But if I remember, some port workers or something like that went on strike for it lasted for about a couple of days, maybe 2, maybe 3 days, because they were fearing the jobs of the higher ups pretty much using automation, and that would take away their jobs because automation is again AI technology. Because if AI and technology is able to do all these things, what need have you for human resources anymore? Right? If AI can do everything quicker, faster, and AI doesn't sleep, AI can make you a lot more money. You don't have to pay AI. It's not a human, right? AI doesn't need to go on breaks. It doesn't need to go on vacation. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't get tired. So what need would you have for human resources? Human resources sometimes wants to take a break, right? Wants to go on vacation, need their hour break, right? Get sick, get tired, right? Doesn't work 24 hours. So from a business perspective, if that's the term I should use, that seems to be the more feasible thing to do. Why would you think about it? If America's all about making money and you're in a business about, it's like this place is about supply and demand, why would you, right? If you see the push for AI, right, and you see your other competitors and people that you have to compete against also using AI, why would you continue to use human resources, which is people? Like I mentioned, sometimes, knowing how people are, sometimes people are lazy on jobs. Sometimes they try to take breaks. They don't want to do stuff, right? This is stuff that, let's be honest, people know that happen on the jobs, right? Somebody got to take a vacation. Somebody got to take a sick day, maybe need a personal day, right? Sometimes people get hurt on these type of jobs and things like that. But with AI, you don't have to worry about AI dying on the job or something like that. You don't have to worry about AI getting sick, getting tired, needing a personal day or anything like that. It's just a constant 24-hour work. So, from a business perspective, why would you continue to want to have human resources? Eventually, you're going to want to fizzle that out because there's no reason to have that anymore, right? And that's just the most logical thing. So eventually, AI is going to pretty much take over the jobs. Elon Musk talk about that. Yuval Noah Harari talks about these things, right? People talk about the dangers of AI and, so these things are, a reality that's coming to pass. This is not something that's a like a little joke. Oh, that's just a movie. No, this is a reality, right? This is a movie that's coming to be reality. But we understand that, and I have that precept held in the background, that there's going to be a visitation upon the idols of the Gentiles, right? Because AI is nothing more than an idol, right? An idol that's being created, that's being put on a pedestal and looked at as some god, right? Now, although people may not say that AI is a god, right? But people are looking to AI as if it is God, right? You're supposed to look to the Heavenly Father for everything. You're supposed to look to Him for answers. But now we're living in a society where people are looking to AI for the answers of all things, right? Even when you now look things up on Google, it'll have AI overview, right? So it's like, oh, I got you. Don't worry. I'll give you the answer. At one point, you never saw AI overview on the top of the search bar, but now that's there, showing you a push again for more AI. I did a lesson sometime last year about how I was on the train and I heard a guy over say, he was saying it jokingly, but behind every joke is some truth. He was like, AI, tell me what to do. AI, tell me what my faults are. Tell me what my strengths are. AI, tell me what to do. Now, although he was saying that jokingly, like I said, behind every joke is some truth. So for him to sit there and say that means that what he's looking at AI to tell him what to do, tell him what his strengths are. Again, he is putting AI on what? A pedestal, right? Now, if you look at like a coach, right? Or anything like that, or like the Most High, you look to the Most High, or like, let's just use another, the Heavenly Father and like an earthly example as a coach, right? Football coach or whatever. He is on a higher pedestal than you. He is your coach, right? Just like the Most High essentially would be your coach as well, right? Coach in life. And you go to the Most High for answers. You go to the Most High. You pray to the Heavenly Father for, hey, Lord, should I get involved in this? Would this be a good route? Lord's willing, let me know. Let me know what to do and things like that. Lead me in the right way, right? You look to the Heavenly Father for counsel, right? The same way you would a coach, using an earthly example. Coach, tell me what my strengths and weaknesses are. What can I do better? What can I not do so I can be of service to the team, right? He'll tell you because of what he's been observing you. The same thing with AI. AI has been observing, it watches, and then what? It'll tell you, hey, da 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 da, don't do this. Hey, da 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 da, do this, right? So people are looking at AI as some type of god, at putting it on a pedestal. They may not be saying AI is a god, but the way they're treating it, the way they're putting it on a pedestal, as if it is a god. Right? Imagine AI being more integrated into life. Same scenario, but now you're able to talk to this thing where it's like, hey, um, AI, should I take this, do this, or get involved in this? Or let's just say, for what is it, stocks? Is it stocks or something like investing or whatever, right? Should I invest in this? AI says, da da da. Uh, AI says some bullshit. I'm sorry. About, oh, well, according to my calculations, the percentage of this and that, I don't think you should get into this. But hey, I have these other options that, after getting into my calculations, that, oh, this would be a better investment for you. Oh, okay, thank you, AI. Yeah, I'll definitely get into that. Or imagine it's very simple for women. AI, this guy, Mark, I really like him. Should I date him and things like that? Well, according to my calculations, according to his blood temperature, and according to his vitals and things like that, I think that this man is not suitable for you. He's going to cheat on you. And it's like, oh, okay, thanks. Then next thing you know, she finds out later the guy is a cheater or something like that. It's like, oh, see, that's why I listen to AI. It's a good thing. See, it's being put up on this pedestal, right? Just using those scenarios. People may say, oh, you're making that up. Well, look, at one point, Aurora was an invention that somebody made up in their mind and what they put on a movie. And now we're seeing that come to reality. So how much more of those things? Well, let me get into this article. Excuse me one second. So it says in a ground. Oh, this is off of End Time Headlines. Excuse me. It says AI cracks superbug mystery in 48 hours that previously took scientists 10 years to solve. As you have here, it says in a groundbreaking development, Google's artificial intelligence, termed co-scientist, has resolved a complex scientific puzzle in just 48 hours. A feat that previously demanded a decade of dedicated research by human scientists, right? Again, like I was saying earlier, what's the point of human resources when AI can do things a lot faster than you can? What's the point of having human scientists when AIs could crack a code in 48 hours that took scientists 10 years to still solve? This remarkable achievement underscores the transformative potential of AI in accelerating scientific discovery. Researchers at Imperial College London had been investigating a critical issue in antimicrobial resistance, focusing on how certain bacteria acquire new DNA, enhancing their virulence. Hopefully, I'm saying that word right, and resistance to antibiotics. Their extensive research identified a mechanism where capsids, the protein shells of viruses, incorporate DNA and lacking tails, acquire them from other viruses to infect diverse bacterial species. This intricate process, unraveled over 10 years, is set to be published in the peer-reviewed journal Cell. To evaluate the capabilities of Google's co-scientist AI, the Imperial team provided it with a brief description of how their focus, specifically how bacteria develop antibiotic resistance. Astonishingly, within 2 days, the AI proposed several hypotheses, primarily featuring the exact mechanism the researchers had painstakingly uncovered. Oh, okay, so I'm guessing they did uncover it. It just took 10 years. Okay, my mistake. Right. Professor Jose Penades, co-leader in the study at Imperial, expressed his amazement. We worked for many years to understand this thing, and we found the mechanism. This was the top one. It was the first hypothesis it suggested. It was, as you can imagine, quite shocking. So people were, what took scientists 10 years to figure out, it took AI just all but 48 hours to figure that out. And plus, when it brought up the solution, it was the first one. So again, just AI being put upon a pedestal. If AI is able to do these things, like I was saying, what need have you for human resources anymore? When AI is able to do all these things more effectively, here it is, you had to wait 10 years for an answer. AI gave you an answer in 48 hours, and the first answer was actually the answer. So what's the point of having people for jobs? Take this same story, right? What took them scientists 10 years to figure out, it took the AI 48 hours to do. So imagine, you have at your job, you hire, supervisor, you had hired these people, you hire, the general labor and things like that. But you hire, the higher ups and things like that, supervisors, this and that, right? And you're trying to figure out how I should organize this. Well, AI will figure that all out for you, right? I'll figure out, have a supervisor AI robot above the other AI robots, and that thing will work your business for you. What do you need to work your business for? I'll do your job for you. Because the way they're promoting AI is as if it's some type of slave. It's, hey, it's going to do everything for us. uh, hmm. Okay, let me hold the other article I have right here. Let's get a precept in Ecclesiastes, because I was talking about the lack of work, right? This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. When you go into our word grinders, right? Like our people like to say, so-called black people, Jake likes to say, I'm on that grind. What does it mean when you're on that grind? Hebrew word there's tahan, which is what? That being their employment, right? So when Jake talks about being on the grind, it's talking about work, their employment. So the grinding cease, which is what the employment cease because they are few. Why? Because they want to, they're promoting and pushing for AI to pretty much take over everything. So the grinding ceasing or being few, right, which is the employment, is gonna be few. Why? Because again, like I was mentioning, what need have you for human resources When AI is able to do things more effectively than humans, and you don't have to worry about, a person getting hurt on the job and things like that, right? Think about like construction, right? People are working with high powered tools, drills, things like that, that if you're not cautious or careful, a person could get hurt, seriously injured, or um, die. It could be fatal, right? But with AI, you don't have to worry about that. You're not losing a life. You just lost a robot. Okay, we'll replace it, right? So again, the we're seeing, and we'll see how the push for AI continues to go. But this could very well be one of the things that cause the grinding to cease, which is AI. Again, if AI is going to take all the jobs, if AI is more effective than people, you don't need people to do these things. That's where the term of useless eaters that Yuval Noah Harari talks about, because they're useless. They're no longer of use. We don't need you in the workforce anymore. We don't need you in this force anymore. We don't need you in the construction field, the electrician field, whatever field it may be. We don't even need you in the nursing field for you women, right? So you're pretty much useless, right? Again, like it says, the grinding cease because there are few, right? Lack of jobs because the jobs have been taken over by automation, which is AI. Now let's get into this. I saw this off of Instagram and then I found the article on it, right? It says Protoclone V1, 1,000 artificial muscles power this sweating robot's human-like moves, right? And this thing was somewhat moving like a person. Okay, there's a video of it, right? It says the Protoclone V1 employs a water-based bio-inspired cooling system akin to sweating to keep its 1,000 myofiber muscles from overheating as they flex across 200 degrees of freedom. Clone Robotics' first full-bodied android swaps traditional motors for pressurized actuators. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Delivering human-like moves monitored by a network of integrated sensors. Although the price is to be announced, or not to be announced, but TBD. I'm gonna guess to be dated. Clone Robotics has indicated a planned Alpha Clone A edition for 2025, potentially in limited numbers. The company suggests that robots like Protoclone V1, which would be, I'm going to guess, version 1, will one day be able to do your laundry, wash dishes, prepare simple meals, and even vacuum carpets. The order page for a clone for assistance describes it being able to make sandwiches, pour drinks, and fetch items real quick. I was mentioning that in iRobot. Let me see if I can find that scene. iRobot. Yeah. Mm. Now, hopefully you heard the audio of that. I don't know. Sometimes the audio may not come through, but essentially, if you didn't hear the audio, the no, Robert Neville is from some other movie, Detective Spooner, whatever his name is in the movie. The dude Will Smith pretty much goes to. I'm gonna guess that's his aunt. He goes visit her, and have a simple conversation, and then he's says something along the lines of, if you keep making all this food like this, I'm gonna have to put you to work. And she was like, oh, so you like the food? He's like, yeah. This is just in case if the audio didn't come through. And then pretty much she's like, "Oh, you can come out now." And the reason why she says that, because she was hiding the robot because she knows how he feels about the robots. He doesn't trust them, right? And then she's like, "Oh, we've been cooking like gas or whatever," right? And then you see the robot just chopping up the food real quick, right? So that's a scene in the movie that again was fiction. It's fiction, right? But now you're seeing this is actually being talked to, being brought to reality, right? So the same thing, right? Do your laundry, wash dishes, prepare simple meals, even vacuum carpets, right? That's what they're saying for this to do. All right, let's just look at this thing real quick. So that's that, and that's essentially what they're spending their money on, making these things, right? So let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, last two precepts in Wisdom of Solomon, the 13th chapter and the 14th chapter. God talked about there's going to be a visitation upon these idols. Now, let me see where I'm going to start from. Yeah, we'll start verse 10, right? And this goes into pretty much the creation, of idols, right? And essentially, AI is nothing more than the idol. It's just a modern day idol. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13 and verse 10. It says, "Miserable are they in dead things, is their hope, who call them gods." Now, AI is nothing more than a dead thing, and people are putting their hope in AI, right? This is not a lifeless thing. This thing doesn't have life, right? Who call them gods? Now, people called these idols back then gods. Now, like I was making that connection, people may not be saying that AI is a god, but again, putting it on this pedestal, looking to it for everything as if it was God. That's how, in a sense, people are calling it God today, which are the work of men's hands. Gold and silver, right? Gold and silver is what? Elements from the earth. And essentially, people are taking, right, these scientists or whoever create these robots are taking elements from the earth, which is the work of men's hands, and creating these things, right? So this is the work of men's hands to show art in resemblance of beasts, which there's a precept in Ecclesiastes which it likens men unto beasts. So that's what showing you the resemblance of a man. Or a stone good for nothing, the work of an ancient hand. Now a carpenter that felleth timber after he had sawn down a tree meet for the purpose, and taken off all bark skillfully round about, and had wrought it handsomely, made a vessel thereof fit for the service of man's life. So essentially what it's saying that, look, when you cut down a tree and you make it, you carve out, let's just say a table, or you carve out, pieces to make for a house, that's fit, right, for the service of man's life, right? A table is something a man uses, right, to eat on or to put things to support on. A chair for a man to sit in, right? You're taking the wood from a tree to make a house, right? That's fit for the service of man's life. And after spending the refuse, which is like the little, the garbage parts or whatever, of his work to dress his meat, had filled himself, and taking the very refuse among those which served to no use, right? Right, the pieces that were left over, right? Being a crooked piece of wood full of knots, had carved it diligently, and when he had nothing else to do, and formed it by the skill of his understanding, and fashioned it to the image of a man. So this is what people did in the ancient world. They would take a piece of wood, right, or a rock or something, and pretty much, chip into it or into pretty much a wood and carve it into what? A man. Excuse me. That's what they would do. And essentially, you're seeing the same thing being done today, except it's just being used with metal and iron, right? Just chipping it and carving it pretty much into the image of a man to look like, what a human does look like, right? Because going back to that, hopefully, yeah, I didn't get rid of it. Looking at this, what does this look like to you? This doesn't look like anything weird that you've never seen. This looks like what? A man. So that's essentially it's the same thing, like it says in Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun. Right, continuing, verse 14, or made it like some vile beast, laying it over with vermilion and with paint coloring it red and covering every spot therein, right? Eventually, this is going to be covered over to look like a human person. Give it the skin texture of a human person. Right now, it looks gray. But eventually you're going to cover it, just like in the H word, with that vermilion, right? But eventually you're going to color it so it can look like a human person, right? It has the feet, the arms, right? Everything like a person. And when he had made a convenient room for it, set it in a wall, and made it fast with iron. For he provided for it that it might not fall, knowing that it was unable to help itself, for it is an image, and had need of help. Then maketh he his prayer for his goods, for his wife and children, and is not ashamed to speak to that which hath no life. And that's essentially the same thing our people do today when they speak to Alexa, or what is the other one? Alexa, Siri, right? You're speaking to something that hath no life. It's not real. But because the mind perceives it to be real, and when I say meaning that, like, oh, you hear when you say, hey Siri, or hey Alexa, right? Hello, how may I help you? You're hearing something talk back to you. But all that thing really is just it's programmed to, hey, when you hear this, a certain phrase, it responds. That's all it is. It's not really something that's alive. But to the human mind, it's perceived as, oh, this thing is talking back to me. I could hear it. Because to people, it's like, well, hey, I pray to the Heavenly Father, but I don't hear nothing back. But the Heavenly Father does answer your prayers, because when He puts you in certain situations, or He brings things to happen in your life, that is the Heavenly Father essentially talking to you. He's saying, I'm hearing your prayers, and what I am pretty much bringing you the same thing that you were praying for. I'm not bringing it in the forefront, right? I'm causing things to happen in your life. That's essentially how the Heavenly Father talks to you, right? Or sometimes, yeah, you may hear a voice and it may be your voice, but to you, you're thinking, well, I just heard my own voice. But nah, sometimes the Heavenly Father will use your voice and it'll sound like your voice, yeah. But it's really the thought was put there by the Heavenly Father. You may think of something like, hey, what do I do in this scenario? And then to you, you perceive it because it's your voice you're hearing in your head. You'll come up with an idea and you'll be like, oh, well, I just came with the idea there. But no, that idea didn't come from you. That came from the Spirit. It was just the Spirit used your voice to talk back to you. But in actuality, it wasn't you. So it's the same thing like today what people are doing, right? They're asking AI for advice. They're asking AI this. They're asking AI that. And it starts off small, going to Google, hey Siri this, hey Google this, right? Hey Alexa this. It starts off small, but then eventually it starts to, increase, expand. Right. Verse 18, it says, for health he called upon that which is weak. For life prayed to that which is dead. For aid humbly beseecheth that which had least means to help. And for a good journey he asketh of that which cannot set a foot forward. And if you look at all these things right here, right? This is essentially what they're making AI to be in all aspects of life. Meaning that what? For health, right? AI will, sorry, not AI. Yuval Noah Harari was talking about how AI doctors will take over regular doctors because they'll be more precise and things like that. So you're going to something for health, right? For health, he called upon that which is weak. You're going to this weak thing for health. Oh, this AI doctor, he'll be able to, precisely, figure out give me a proper diagnostic of what's going on with my body. For health, you're going to that which is weak, right? For life, he prayed to that which is dead, right? Again, these AI doctors may eventually become AI surgeons, right? Save your life. They know how to properly make the incision in your body so that way there's no error, right? For aid, humbly beseech that which has least means to help, right? And for a good journey, he asks it of that which cannot set a foot forward, which essentially is the AI, right? They're talking about making automatic vehicles and things like that, right? Where these vehicles will, eventually be run by AI, so that way there's no human error. But think about it. You had to program this thing to be able to do that. So again, showing you, like the scriptures say, you're looking for this thing that had need of help. You had to instruct it, pretty much create it to give it the abilities to do this. Excuse me. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to do any of these things at all. But now the very same thing that you programmed to give it its abilities, you're now looking to it for help. Imagine, let's use this way. Imagine the Heavenly Father is the one that, well, obviously created us through his son Yahushua. But imagine it was like this. The Heavenly Father created us, and now the Heavenly Father is asking us for help. It's like, hey, I created you. You're my creation, but hey, I need assistance on this. Can you help me out here? Imagine the Heavenly Father turning to creation and asking them for help. But he's the one that created everything. He's the one that did this, the one that did that. It's the sun, the moon, the stars, all that. He's the reason why everything functions the way it does. But he's coming to the creation for wisdom. He's coming to the creation for advice. Imagine the Heavenly Father doing that. How would you look at him? You look at him like, yo, you the one that created all this. You did all this. I should be coming to you for answers. You shouldn't be coming to me for answers. But that's essentially how it is with AI. Essentially, if you think about it, you're going to pretty much metals and bolts for answers. But again, because it looks like a person, because it has, like it says, AI intelligence, right? You're looking to it as something, that's of use, of value. But essentially, if you think about it, you're just going to nothing but bolts and metals and wires for answers. And it just sounds like a woman, right? It has a voice of a human. But essentially, you're going to metal for answers. That's it. To keep it real simple. The same way back in the day with people, what did they do? They went to a piece of wood for help. Something that comes from a tree, you're asking that for help. Something that comes from an element in the ground, you're essentially asking that for help. Essentially, a metal from the ground, bolts and wires and all this, essentially took people's jobs. That's essentially what, so pretty much, the elements took over people's jobs. Things that come from the earth. That's essentially what you're putting in charge. Think about that. Let that really resonate. Again, just like in the ancient world, people went to what? Right? To a piece of wood for help, to look to that for aid. Take out the voice that they put on it, the Siri, the Alexa, take that away. And essentially, something that is nothing but metal and bolts took your job, is now doing more than you can do. Essentially, they're putting an element that the Heavenly Father created, metal, bolts, and all that, right? Iron and all that, from the earth, essentially elements from the earth, they're putting that over and making that do the jobs instead of humans. Does that seem wise to you? The same way, does it seem wise to talk to a piece of wood for help? Does it seem wise to put metal essentially in charge? But hey, that is the world that we're living in. That is where the world is moving forward. So this is in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14 at verse 9. It says, for the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Heavenly Father. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles there shall be a visitation, because in the creature of God they are become an abomination and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. So these things eventually become a stumbling block to where people are looking to essentially, like I was saying, a piece of metal, right? Not something that is full of metal and iron, as right, and wires and all that, copper, right? Another piece of element that comes from the earth for assistance, right? Again, just take away the voice, and essentially you are talking to something that can't talk because it's really just metal. It's just put within there, right? The Alexa, the AI, the Google, whatever you talk to, is nothing but elements that come from the earth, and essentially it's just maybe they put a voice box or something in there. I'm not entirely sure. That, hey, when you say, hey Alexa, hey Google, don't activate Google. Because sometimes when you say out, the phone listens. Hey Alexa, Google, Siri, it then talks back to you. But take that away, and imagine you just be saying, hey phone. The phone is an inanimate object, buddy. Why are you talking to an inanimate object that doesn't talk back? It's just they put the thing there to talk to you. Essentially, that's all it is. So you see how stupid, you see, again, like it says in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. Although you paint it with vermilion, although you paint it with silver and gold over it to make it look pretty, to make it look like it's some type of, God, this is some type of thing. The same thing with these phones. They make it look nice. When you turn on the phone, it has these nice colors, right? You're able to talk to, hey, hello, how may I help you? I am Google AI, Google Gemini. Hey, hello, I'm Alexa. Hello, I'm Siri. How may I be assistance to you? But essentially take that away and it's just nothing but metal. But that's the way world we're going into, right? I'll read verse 12 as well. It says, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. So the same way when people carved out wood, it was the corruption of life. It's the same thing with AI. It's going to also be a corruption of life, right? We're just going to see it play out. So I pray that this video has been edifying. I'll end it here. As always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the whole elect. Shalom.